This is Sports Done Right. SCTV sports anchor Doug Wright brings you expanded coverage of Sun City athletic action and introduces us to some of our Sun City neighbors who share their sports stories.
In the recent issue of the Bluffton Sun, contributor and Sun City resident Joe Torino features Doug Wright, Sun City television sports reporter and host of Sports Done Right. From his humble beginnings in Detroit, Michigan, to his distinguished 40-year career as a tax merger acquisitions lawyer in Atlanta, Torino highlights his journey to volunteer at SCTV, Sun City's own television broadcast, beginning back in 2018, 2 years after moving to Sun City in 2016. Doug's story is a compelling reminder of the rich tapestry of experience that individuals bring to their roles in Sun City. His journey from his law career in Atlanta to the broadcasting studio of SCTV highlights a life lived fully, with each chapter as vibrant and engaging as the sports stories he has shared with his audience each week. It is clear he has thoroughly enjoyed volunteering at SCTV very much. And very recently, following his interview with Torino, at the age of 78, Wright turned in his microphone and retired from SCTV. His contributions to Sun City and SCTV have been incredibly significant, adding sports news in a new and interesting way for those Sun City residents who love all the sports the community has to offer. All of us here at SCTV will miss his sports reports.
One of the most revered persons in the world during his lifetime was Muhammad Ali. His story is well known to all, and his bent for poetic statements was legendary. So this month, we'll start with a quote from Mr. Ali, which should apply to all residents of a 55-plus active community such as Sun City Hilton Head. That's right, don't count the days, make the days count. And this month, we profile a Sun City resident who has made tennis her passion and who is an official ambassador of the Huntsman World Senior Games held annually in Utah. The games are for anyone over 50. Let's find out more about Gigi Diller. Well, Gigi, I understand that you are an official ambassador for an annual event called the Huntsman Senior Games. What are the Huntsman Senior Games?
The Huntsman Senior World Games are the largest annual multi-sport event held within the United States. This amazing event takes place every October in St. George, Utah. With 35 different sports to choose from, there's bound to be something for you.
And how many overall participants are there typically?
There's over 20,000 participants that come out to participate in these well-known games each October.
And how did you originally get involved, and what is your sport of choice?
I got involved through living in Arizona, which is a lot closer than South Carolina, 15 years ago. And my sport of choice is tennis, and I've been playing in the games for now, this year will be 15 years.
And is there any qualification required, or is it just a matter of paying some entry fee and showing up?
Well,
Age,
I can't specify for other sports, but there's no real qualifications. You come out, except for you have to be 50 years old and above.
And what made you think you could compete at this level?
Nothing. I just wanted to try it. And believe you me, I never played a sport in my entire life until I retired and started in the games at age 50. I started maybe 53, going up to St. George, And I just loved it. The camaraderie, the people. It's so wonderful. The events are just like any professional senior sport. We have a ceremony that is outstanding. It's out of this world. So just to be able to be around seniors and participate was a wonderful experience. And I've been going to the games ever since.
And how many residents from Sun City would you say participate?
I would say anywhere from 100 to 150 that have come out to the games. We have an opening ceremony, and that's where I will connect with them because of our flag from South Carolina and our state is represented in the opening ceremonies. And I carry that flag every year.
And let me ask you this question. How have you fared? How have you done out there?
Well, I have a hard time talking about my participation, but lucky enough, I've been coming home with a medal almost every year that I played in the games. And that's because I have a wonderful partner and great camaraderie. Last year, I came home with the bronze medal for mixed doubles. Had a wonderful partner from California, and we just happened to meet up online, and he asked me to play in the games. And then I had a wonderful women's partner, so we won the silver medal in women's doubles, and I usually participate in 2 events.
Okay, and let me ask you this. I know you're active beyond just playing tennis. Tell us about some other activities you're involved with here in Sun City.
Well, my passions in life are dance and tennis. So I belong to the line dance club and I dance in line dance. And my husband and I are ballroom dancers, and we've been dancing ballroom since we were 30. So I don't want to tell you how long that's been. And we had the opportunity to teach ballroom for 13 years, and again, 2 seniors, and it was a wonderful experience.
And you're in pretty good shape. Would you say that's the biggest benefit?
Yes, dancing is wonderful. It keeps your body in shape. It keeps your mind active, and that's what aging in place means to me. That's what we're doing here. That's why we're here, is to be active.
And let me ask a question about how you partners get matched up. Is it pretty random, or?
Well, no. You put your level of play and how you play on a bulletin board. If you don't have a partner, you don't need to sign up with a partner, but you put your name on the bulletin board at Huntsman. We have a website, and somebody would call you and ask you if you want to partner up. I'm going to the games, and it's as simple as that. Registering for the games, putting your name out there, and sure, somebody is going to, call you.
Well, if I was crazy enough to want to get involved at my age, how would I do that? Would I call you, or would I go directly to the Huntsman website, or how do I do that?
You could call me. I could tell you a little bit more of the website and who to contact.
I think we all know who Michael Jordan is. He's been quoted as saying that some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, and others make it happen. All right, Bill, Jane, welcome. We're here today to find out a little bit about you and where you are and what you're doing now. And obviously you're in Sun City. How long have you been here?
We moved in 2 years ago in May, and we still have a place in Charlotte, which is where we spent a lot of the last 25 years, but came down here, found a house on the south side. We live on Hampton Circle, and split about half the year between here and Charlotte, and really enjoying meeting the people, playing golf, and going to play trivia tonight, so all kinds of good things.
How about that? Yeah, but hopefully there's a lot of sports trivia. Now, where are you all from?
Well, I grew up in northeastern Ohio, and we went to Marietta College. Bill's from Buffalo. And from Buffalo, he came down to Marietta College, and we met and got married, and we've lived several places since then.
Okay, and when you were a kid, which you still are really, but when you were a kid, did you participate a lot in athletics or get involved?
You know, for girls back then, when you're growing up in the 60s, there wasn't a lot of opportunities. We played basketball half court. You know, it was unbelievable.
Did you have to wear a skirt?
Yes, of course. But the funny thing is, after I graduated from college, I played some basketball in college, just, intramural stuff. I ended up becoming a coach of basketball, volleyball, and softball.
Well, good. That's great. And how about you? What compelled you to go to a small school in Ohio? Okay, I'll remember that.
And you can keep going, because other than the college, there's not a lot going on there.
Okay, and were you able to do some broadcasting in college?
Yeah, I mean, even as a freshman, I was doing like JV basketball games on television. I was doing soccer games on the radio. Throughout my freshman, I was running camera. I was doing sportscasts. I was doing all kinds of things that, just getting my feet wet to see if I was any good at it.
Okay, evidently you were. Now, tell us a little bit where it went from there on your career.
Okay, so we met in school. We did not date in school, but she stayed.
That's your mistake.
Exactly. She stayed to teach
And
coach.
Yeah.
And then I stayed to work at the local radio station in Marietta, Ohio, which did all kinds of. We did high school football. We did the college. We did baseball. We did the slow pitch softball game of the week. We did if we could sell it, we did it. As far as broadcasting is concerned, and that's where we started. Went to another town, Alliance, Ohio, which is not far from Canton. And then I grew up in Buffalo. So then I ended up going to back to Buffalo to work for a year. Was there for about a year, dragging Jane along with me. And we had our first son when we lived in Alliance. We had our second son. We actually ended up moving to, I started working in New York City in 1981, working for UPI Radio. And we had a house, we had a couple of different homes in northern New Jersey. That's where our second son was born. And all the while I'm broadcasting. I'm not doing a lot of play-by-play, but I'm covering big events. When I got to UPI Radio in New York, I was working in the Daily News building at 42nd and 2nd. Pretty cool back in the...
That sounds like fun, actually.
Back in the 80s. So, and from there, the key was meeting a bunch of people. I met in my traveling to cover events, and I would do reporting and interviews. I wasn't doing play-by-play. But I got to meet all the other big movers and shakers in radio who did the hiring.
Right. That's good people to know.
Yes. So eventually, I was with UPI. They moved us from New York to Washington in '83. And then I ended up working for the old Mutual Radio Network. Larry King used to do his talk show overnights, Mutual Radio Network. And then we would I would do sportscasts. And they did play-by-play. They did Notre Dame football. They did the NFL game of the week. They did college football, college basketball. So I finally got my opportunity in 1988 to call 87 to call my first college game nationally. And then in 88, they liked my work, so I started doing the NFL games nationally. And then from there, the Atlanta Falcons. I wanted to be the voice of a team. Falcons hired me in '92. 3 years in Atlanta, loved it. Opened the Georgia Dome. Teams weren't very good, as you might know.
They still managed to find ways to lose.
Right. And then from Atlanta, there was a bunch of stuff going on, and I wanted to stay, but the Carolina Panthers were starting in 1995, an expansion team. So I left Atlanta. We moved to Charlotte, which is where we've still been since 1995. I became the first voice of the Panthers, did that for 10 years. I left the Panthers after 10, went back to Westwood One doing NFL games, worked with Dan Reeves for 3 years as my color analyst. Roman Gabriel was my analyst in Charlotte. A lot of people from our age group remember Roman as a player.
I do.
Yeah. So I've met and worked with a lot of cool people over the years. And then 2009, ESPN Radio hired me to be their voice of college football. Also in 2009, I started doing PGA Tour radio, golf on the radio. You find it on Sirius XM. And all the while, she's been doing my stats and driving the golf car when we're doing golf events. And so since then, 2019, my boss retired, so that meant the new guy came in and said, Bill, we're going to go with somebody else. So we've been through that in our lives. So I've been an independent contractor working for Westwood One, Compass, and PGA Tour Radio doing NFL and golf the last 3-4 years.
Okay, and how did you wind your way into teaching and coaching, and what happened after that?
Well, when I graduated from college, I was teaching and I was coaching, and then we started dating, and I started doing stats for him, and then we kept moving, and I'd been a reporter for newspapers when I was in college. So I went back to my reporting roots, and I was the women's editor, as they called it back then, for a paper in Alliance, Ohio. And then when we moved, I went on to public relations for school districts and for chambers of commerce in another move. And then eventually we moved so often that eventually I just stopped working and raising the kids.
Okay. Let's get to the meat of the matter, though, and that is, how did you land the Frankfurt job? And as I understand it, the Chiefs were playing somebody. I can't remember who.
That was the Dolphins.
Okay. And you were there last fall. Mm-hmm. And so how'd you land that gig, and how was it?
Well, it was great. Like I said, I'm back as an independent contractor with Westwood One, and they do all the national radio games. If it's Thursday night, Sunday night football, Monday night football, and all the games that they play in Europe or elsewhere, they're going to be in Brazil this year to open the season. They hire the talent for that. So we went over to Frankfurt, and we did 2 games, actually. We were in Frankfurt for like 10 days. We did the Chiefs and Miami, and then hung around for, it was the Jaguars and the Patriots.
Okay.
So we were there for 10 days. And other than doing the games, we would spend a lot of time just traversing around Frankfurt and going down to the Rhine to take a cruise and seeing the sights. And it's been, and we've done this. We've been to London, to Wembley, and then the new stadium they have at Tottenham. We've done NFL games there, and even golf tournaments. I mean, the Open Championship is currently going on, and I covered. ESPN Radio actually owned the rights to the U.S. Open and British Opens for 5 years, so we were over in Royal Troon. I've been at the Old Course in St. Andrews. Got a picture of us standing on the Swilken Bridge. So I mean, my career has taken us.
And you were with the Henrik Stenson and Mickelson.
Yeah, when Mickelson and Stenson played at that great final Sunday.
Legendary.
Yeah, I was calling Mickelson shots. The other guy on the course was calling Stenson, and we were with him for all 18 holes on Sunday, and this far from the, where they're hitting shots. I mean, we're inside the ropes. We're not that far from the players calling shots. In fact, it was funny. One of my sons sent me a picture of us. Mickelson is walking down the fairway, and his picture was, imagine seeing your mom and dad standing right by Phil Mickelson, and he's playing the Open Championship. So he sent us the picture, which we still have. It's kind of cool. So
now, are you going to continue to do this? And if so, for how long?
until they don't want me anymore.
Okay.
I am running into some of the age thing with certain employers. They want to get younger, and younger means cheaper in many instances. You know, they got rid of Roger Maltby and Gary Koch on NBC, Costas and McCord ousted at CBS, all to get younger, and that's the one thing I'm fighting. But I always look at it's radio. I've done some TV over my career, but how old do they know when you're on radio?
No. Great.
So in fact, we've been talking about this. I go gradually. I want to keep doing it until I can't, until they tell me I can't do it anymore.
Okay, are you all for that?
Absolutely.
Well,
We have so much fun.
well, great.
Yeah, we get paid too. So.
Yeah, well, there is that.
Go.
Now, let me ask you this. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You lived in Sun City for a couple of years. What got you here?
Him.
Yeah, I dragged her. I had to talk her into it. It was, and she'll joke that we bought a house here so I could have a golf cart.
Okay.
All right.
That's no joke.
And no, it isn't.
True.
Yeah. No, it was because we'd spent a lot of time over the last 20 years. We have friends who live in Sea Pines.
Okay.
We have a timeshare in Hilton Head. So we spent a lot of time coming down here. And then I think it was the pandemic when things were kind of very dark and dreary in the city of Charlotte. And we lived uptown. We live in a condo there. That I wanted to get something else. So we came down here, looked around. We love the South Side. We love the fact that there's trees. They didn't bulldoze the whole thing to put up new homes. And it was golf. I mean, there's a lot of retirement communities that you can look at, but how many of them have golf courses?
True enough.
Right. So, and you've got the 3 here. So we love, in fact, I actually work with the guy who designed the courses, Mark McCumber.
Okay.
So I work with him on PGA Tour Radio. I've joked with him a few times about how hard Hidden Cypress is, and it's a little easier at Okatee. And he told me he had to dumb down Okatee.
Well, he got to my level.
Yeah, mine too.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you have any time to do other activities here?
Well, I play some pickleball when we're here with friends, and we do play golf. And I've done bocce ball a couple times, and
Ping pong?
we played table tennis. Yeah. So yeah, we're trying to get into those.
We're in the trivia nights. And I think, the best thing about Sun City are the people we've met.
Michael Altschuler once said, "The bad news is that time flies. The good news is you're the pilot." A recent New York Times opinion piece chronicled the journey of a 62-year-old woman who had suffered a heartbreak and was wondering what to do next. She was neither athletic nor outdoorsy, but wanted to do something to break out of her dolorous mental state. Amazingly, she dug up an old bicycle and went biking with a group of 60, 70, and 80-year-olds one day, and she was hooked. She encountered not only better health, but also embraced getting older and achieving fulfillment both physically and mentally. In effect, she took the controls of her life and continued to bike until she began experiencing symptoms of the Parkinson's disease, which eventually got her. A group studying this and similar phenomena in seasoned citizens has determined that those who have a positive outlook on aging live on average 7 to 7.5 years longer than their counterparts who in effect quit. That in itself is amazing, but is typical of the vast majority of Sun City residents who engage in and are passionate about their sports here. In 2024, we also profiled residents who have had and continue to have outstanding achievements in sports. Here are a few clips of people we talked to this past year.
Down here they had, when I moved here 8 years ago, they had Beaufort Jasper games, which were held at the high school. And I got a couple little medals in that, but nothing spectacular. And then I found out about the South Carolina Senior Games, which are every year in Florence, South Carolina, at the Florence High School. There's a lot of other sports there, and I'm just a track guy, so I ran there. And the first year I didn't do so good. I had bad knees if I was ready to quit. And I started taking a little medication that the doctor gave me, and my knees got better. And in 2021 and 2022 now, I ran the 50s meters, the 100 meters, and got the gold medals and a little jump.
My mom and dad are very athletic. They played baseball and basketball all in their high school years. and then my dad took up golf, and so he was in the banking industry. So at that time, banks were closed on Wednesday afternoons and Saturday afternoons. So on Wednesday afternoon, he'd grab me from school, and I'd go caddy for him. So as he would go to putt, I would run up to the next tee, and then I would hit. So I kept bruises on the side here because the golf clubs were too long. So that's how I started at 8 years old.
Now, did you have brothers and sisters to compete with?
I do. I have 2 younger sisters, and yes, we competed. We have a very competitive family.
I was an equestrian, and at age 14, I had a terrible accident and broke my back in 3 places. And it ended my equestrian career because one more fall and I could very well have been crippled.
Right.
Yeah. So I then turned my energy more towards the little white ball.
Okay. And when did you actually get into really competitive golf?
I was 7.
Really?
Yes. I played my first state championship at 7 amongst the big kids, It was fun.
So our high school camps we'd do up at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania, and then we backed that right up with all the kids that we were coaching from different colleges all around, from Division I to Division III.
Now, were there other kicking coaches at these camps?
Oh yeah, we had quite a few kids, so we needed a lot of coaches. And what was unique about our coaching is that we had a curriculum. And if you were a coach, we wouldn't use athletes. Like a lot of camps will use high school athletes or college athletes. You were actually going to have somebody that coached you.
I think that you got to be lucky and fortunate in that the breaks go your way. And I think a little bit in terms of preparation. I do probably about the 3-4 weeks before the tournament, I do prepare a little differently. I kind of spend a little bit more time in the short game and the chipping and wedges around the green and the putting to overcome any errors I have off the tee.
I played on the final day. I played with Donna Rosehart and Barb Hesimovich, who is a wonderful golfer from Massachusetts that I've long idolized from up there. And I had a good lead coming out, and I just was on autopilot. And then when the pressure starts to mount a little bit, the shots start to go a little errant. And I gave up some strokes and ended up having to go to a playoff hole with Barb, who is just such a solid golfer and solid person. And I was just, was able to do what I can and pull out a par and win.
Doug knew how to bring out the best in people he met. Tune in next month when we bring you a selection of Doug's interviews with these individuals. We need those action shots and Kodak moments that happen every day here in Sun City. Think about when you're out on the courses, the courts, or the field, putting that phone to good use and snapping those shots of your favorite athletes. To get a TV-worthy shot, here's a quick TV camera lesson. Most importantly, hold your camera for a landscape, not portrait orientation. To click it up a notch, here's some other hints. For a video, lock those elbows or stabilize against a solid surface. That way no viewers get motion sick. Pan slowly, that motion sickness thing. Shoot with your back to the sun and bright light. And zoom with your feet, which means get closer. Then get those visuals ready to send to SCTV. Format those pictures and videos as MP4, MOV, JPG, JPEG, and HEIC. Send your photos and videos with a brief description of the event details and identify persons when possible. Email them to suncitytvhh@gmail.com and watch for your first TV photo credit.